Alrighty, I think we're ready to go. Welcome, Internet. How's your Sunday evening going? This is a place to heal. I am your host. I have no idea what I go by these days. Yeah, welcome in, guys. So, today... What's up, Ratataz? How are you? Thank you for popping in. How's your night going? So, we are going to be talking about dealing with depression tonight. And so, sorry, too many audio things going on at once here. So, we'll be talking about dealing with depression. We'll go ahead and spend a little bit of time talking about what exactly depression is and natural form. I've got our cute little infographic here that we're making for those of you out there that are not in the know, our official Discord server houses all the cute little infographics that I make. I will have to admit I haven't put up yesterday's from anxiety yet. So yes, but if you missed our discussion of anxiety and dealing with generalized anxiety disorder, we'll probably have to circle back around to it because we didn't get through everything. But at some point in the future, we'll talk about other types of anxiety disorders. But today, I figured we'd take a little break from that and talk about dealing and coping with depression. So depression is a pretty common disorder in the United States. Let's see, sorry, let me mess with the audio here just a little bit. Turn the music down just a little bit here. So yeah, depression is a pretty common disorder in the United States. And so I figured we'd spend a little bit of time talking about it. I've had my own struggles up and down with depression throughout my life. My mental health is probably the best that it's been right now in quite some time, actually. So life is pretty good. But certainly in my younger years, I've had my struggles with it as well. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about what is depression, but then also a couple of the different types of depressive disorders. So we'll talk about major depressive disorder, which is what most people think of when they think of depression. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about kind of more persistent things. So depressive disorders come in all varieties, but kind of quintessential depressive episode is kind of a short-term thing. We'll talk about what if it looks like if you just feel like you've just always been depressed. There's a particular diagnosis for that. It's called dysthymia. Actually, no, it used to be called dysthymia. Now it's called persistent depressive disorder. I think it's what it's called. It's been a while since psychopathology class. But yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And yeah, so before we dive in to talk about stuff, let's just watch a cute little, just a brief little video talking about depression. And then we'll kind of go into some of the signs and symptoms of it. And we'll go from there. So let me adjust my screen here so this is a little bit more visible. There we go. And then I get a 90-second ad break, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and play the video anyway.
60 seconds.
Oops.
Got 60 seconds? Take a mental health minute to learn about depression disorders. They cause symptoms that affect how you feel, how you think, and how you handle daily life. Depression should be treated by health professionals. Don't try to handle it alone or treat it with alcohol or illegal drugs. Treatments include psychotherapy or talk therapy, medication, and sometimes brain stimulation therapy. These treatments may also be used in combination with one another. If you think you might have depression, talk to a trusted friend, family member, or healthcare provider. The earlier treatment begins, the more effective it is. Learn more about depression through the NIMH website and take 60 seconds to share this mental health minute to help someone else.
So yeah, so we'll talk about major depressive disorder first. Major depressive disorder. So it affects, I believe it's about 40% of the population at some point in their life will be diagnosed with major depressive disorder. Let's see, 1 in 6 in their lifetime, and twice as often in women as in men. So it's pretty gosh darn common. Let's see, 1 in 6. What is that? That's can't do math. I think it's around 20% here. So about 20% of the population will be diagnosed with it. But obviously, most people have probably experienced it a little bit more frequently than that. So, and just to be thought of as a combination of genetic influences will predispose you to having depression more often, but then typically it's some kind of life circumstance will actually trigger a depressive episode. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what the signs and symptoms might look like, and then we'll work on filling out our cute little infographic here. So let's see, 1 in 6. Still trying to decide if I keep I like to keep doing this on stream, but we'll do it for now. by the way, shameless plug. I put out all kinds of cool mental health related content on my Instagram. And so by all means, if you're not following me on Instagram, feel free to give me a follow here. I've got my socials posted in the chat. Feel free to hang out. Additionally, I've got my Discord listed as well. So like I said, I typically repost a lot of the content that we talk about on stream on the Discord. So if you ever miss the stream for whatever reason, you're always welcome to check out the VODs on the Twitch channel, of course, but for things like infographics, resources, cool links and stuff, I always post those in the resources section of the Discord as well. So feel free to hit that up if you are interested. If you're someone who struggles with depression or just know someone who does, you'll always be able to find some cool resources on the Discord channel. So, okay, signs. This is of anxiety and depression, but we'll talk about it here because sometimes they can. Both of these things are really common, and sometimes they can look kind of similar, actually, particularly in men. We'll talk about that here in a second, but let's go ahead and take a look at the first video here and we'll walk through it.
As a family medicine doctor, it is so important for patients of ours to come in for both their physical health, but also their mental health. Not having, dealt with mental issues can be very detrimental to physical health as well. Anxiety and depression have been just rising in the US population in the past few years, and a lot of times are just underdiagnosed because of either patients not knowing the signs or not letting their providers know, whether it's from something stressful or from postpartum or just general anxiety or depression. It's important to kind of know some of the signs and be able to come into your provider and let them know. Some things you may be experiencing are, of course, feeling nervous, feeling anxious, feeling tired all the time, not wanting to do the things you usually want to do, having decreased appetite, things like that. Any of those symptoms are ones that you're feeling or things are just different, then please let your provider know, because there are definitely options, both medical, therapy, and others that can help you kind of get through all those symptoms. Your mental health is so important, and without that being at a good place, your physical health won't be either.
Okay, so a little bit on anxiety and depression. So I want to start building out a list of symptoms here. And before we start building out our list of symptoms here, actually, I goofed. Let's go back. I want to talk about the different types of depressive disorders. Let's do that. Depressive disorders here. Oops, these are symptoms. Oops. I am struggling, y'all. So there are a couple of different depressive disorders that we can talk about. The first one is the one that everyone thinks about, which is major depressive disorder, right? So if you went through, had a death in the family, lost your job, went through a breakup, divorce, quite often if, sometimes it can be something completely unrelated. Usually if there's some kind of big life episode, as a result of which you'll get major depressive disorder, right? It's typically something really big and something really negative happens in our life, and then as a result of that, we start to struggle with feeling down all the time. Some of the symptoms that she talked about, we'll come back to symptoms in just a minute, and that's pretty much what people typically think of as depression, right? So moving on from that, there are a couple of other disorders here to talk about. Second one is the persistent depressive disorder, which I at one time thought that I had this. I probably have had that during much of my early life. I no longer feel like I struggle with any type of depression or anything like that, but it's definitely been a big thing for me. Dysthymia. Dysthymia is... so major depression typically lasts for at least 2 weeks, but it might last for several months. So anywhere from 2 weeks to up to several months. When you start to get to longer term issues with depression, say lasting 2 years or more, then you start to get into this is called persistent depressive disorder. Used to be called dysthymia, but it's called a persistent depressive disorder now, which I think that name makes a heck of a lot more sense. It's a lot more straightforward. So yeah, if you're just one of those people that's, I guess I should say people with this disorder the way that I heard them in grad school, they're kind of like the Eeyores in life. They're just kind of always perpetually sad and down, and that's kind of just their personality, right? It's not like something happened, they didn't lose a job, and then they started to get depressed. It's just always been like that, right? That tends to be a pretty telltale sign of persistent depressive disorder. And then, yeah, so that's that one. Perinatal depression. So this is this is what's called postpartum depression, is what this is most commonly known as. Depression that happens during pregnancy or after childbirth. I don't know a whole lot of postpartum depression. Luckily, I never have to worry about how my mental health might be affected by my pregnancy, because it's not something that I experienced. But yeah, I've known people, and I've worked in the mental health system for a number of years. I don't currently work in the mental health system, but I've known many people who have even gotten to the point of being put in, an inpatient psychiatric facility due to postpartum depression. It was so bad. I've worked with many people in this system, or just kind of in the mental health care system, that have been affected. So seasonal affective disorder is the next one here. And so depression that comes and goes, with the seasons typically starting in late fall or early winter. So some people, when it gets cold outside and it gets dreary, they're just going to have issues with depression. And typically it's a seasonal thing. They say that light therapy really works well for these people. And so if you're one of those people that it's just, as soon as the weather starts getting dreary outside, as soon as it gets into fall or winter, you just instantly start feeling down. You might have seasonal affective disorder, and that goes away once the spring and the summer gets rolling around. But light therapy, let's see, let me look it up exactly. Yes, is an excellent treatment for seasonal affective disorder. In particular, they'll use things like oh Lord, what was it? There's a particular type of light which escapes my mind. Let's see. What kind of light? Is it red light? Yeah, I thought it was UV light is particularly thought of as effective for dealing with seasonal affective disorder, and sun lamps. So, if you don't want to just work on your tan, you also want to deal with seasonal affective disorder. Let's go tanning. It'll be great for you. So that's that. And then some people also have this. I actually know someone. Knew someone, a friend of. Doesn't matter. Premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDD. I think I've probably known about 2 people in my life that actually had this diagnosis. Symptoms that occur 7 to 10 days before a woman's period begins and must have an adverse effect on work or social functioning. So, some women, then when they have their cycle every month, they develop symptoms of depression as a result of it. That sounds really, really difficult. I can't imagine what it would be like to live like that. But yes, it is a thing, unfortunately, that befalls some people. So that's our list. Let's add our list here to our infographic as we go along. Let's see. Where do we want to put this? Of course, I always go back and put this thing up afterwards. I'm completely behind the 8 ball on the anxiety one, but so I have way too many projects I'm juggling right now. But we will get through it, I promise. This will be a glorious infographic for all of y'all. So persistent depressive disorder. Okay, so let's get into so a little bit of the symptoms we talked about. Or we're discussing the video. So let's go over action items. Let's leave that alone. Let's do symptoms. And this is just going to be a general, specifically for major depressive disorders, what we'll focus on for today. Just because dealing with the other ones are a little bit less common, and treatment modalities differ and all that sort of thing. So we won't focus too much on it. So I got people blowing me up on my phone. Ha, that's so funny. Sorry, one of my friends is over here next to me. Okay. So, symptoms. So, the video mentioned a couple. We'll watch an actual video after this that goes deeper into the different types of disorders and the different symptoms. But let's spend a little bit of time here. So one thing that she mentioned here. Persistent feelings of... I will just say persistent fatigue here. Deal with my wording as fatigue. Persistent fatigue. Got it. Okay. Mentioned anxiousness. Sometimes that can be a symptom of depression. I would say irritability is kind of more of a symptom of depression. Lack of interest in activities. So lack of interest in activities. Once found to be enjoyable. I also completely misspelled this. Come on, chat. Why is no one telling me this? Symptoms. Here we go. We got it, guys. And what was the last one? Lack of appetite or increased appetite. Lack of appetite. I don't know why I just thought of geology when I said appetite. That's a rock, right? Appetite. Geology. I'm not wrong. Ha! Appetite. There we go. Okay. Whew, man, it's been a while since high school science club. Takes me back. Okay. Let's see. Lack of appetite. Or a loss of appetite. Loss or increase in appetite. Not appetite, because that would be an increase in rocks, and that's a whole nother problem. You might have what's that thing when you turn to stone? I forget. What's up, Ratatas? You lurking over there? Ratatas, you strike me as the type of person, and I say this as myself, a huge nerd in high school. You strike me as the type of person that was like in the science club in high school. Did you do any like clubs or anything in high school? Let's see. I really like this guy's channel here. I always try to use like as many like official resources like the NIH and all that kind of thing on show videos, just because I think they're, you know, really official. But there's lots of great videos out there. I'd love to start putting my own stuff together. Eventually here we'll start kind of collating all of the stream replays and start putting out videos on the official YouTube channel. I haven't gotten to that point yet. It's just too much work. I'm trying to consistently put out content on Instagram and getting the server where I want it to be and getting the channel made up, and TikTok. Started posting on Threads on Instagram, which feels completely useless, but we'll see if anyone uses Threads as a platform. And what else? Oh, and Twitter. I should be putting it on Twitter, actually. Let's blast this out. I used to very consistently, every time I streamed, back when I used to stream, would always blast out on Twitter, and I feel like I never do it anymore that I've started again. I don't know if it helps, but it makes me feel better. People always know where the party's at. Also, the next goal for the channel is multi-streaming. Gotta start simulcasting. Let's see here. Academic decathlon. What the heck? Yo, that sounds nerdy and I love it. What do you do in the academic decathlon? That's like... Oh, what did that remind me of? Oh... Is it Quiz Bowl? I had some people that I knew that were in like the... It's just like a general quiz bowl thing of like all different types of subjects. Maybe it's something like that. Multi-subject test that you do with your group. Interesting. Ah, very cool. I like that. I feel like I would have like crushed the science part of it. I was a huge science nerd. Mainly because I was super interested in... I was not at all athletic back then, but that's around the time in high school. That's when I got into like martial arts. I did like MMA for 10 years. And because of that, I got super into health science. And because of that, I got super into science. And so I was like competing in the science club and competed in like health science, chemistry. What else did I do? I did a thing called Fermi questions, which is like, how many drops of water does it take to fill up a swimming pool? Just crazy stuff like that. It was super fun. Go and compete at other schools. Nice, very cool. Yeah, my high school actually did really well, and in our it was called the Science Olympiad. Is what I believe it was called, and we definitely like went to nationals the year that I was either my junior or senior year. So we killed it. We flew to like